So on the classification levels, it's important to not have too many of them. Say you had 15 classification levels. Well, that's too crazy. It's too confusing. Nobody would know what to put, what kind of data goes where. So you don't want too many, but you also don't want too small of an amount, because they're not going to be taken seriously. So, a lot of companies actually have 3. It's very common for corporations to have 3 classification levels. It's important that they're very distinct, so there's no confusion on the type of data that goes under that classification. So those classification levels should not overlap. So I talked about a criteria, and this is something that I've seen a lot of companies miss. They'll have a policy. They may even identify the data owners, who's responsible for the data, but the data owners have no idea how to classify the information. They just gut, that seems sensitive, so I'll put it into this classification, or I think people could have access to that, so I'll put it in public. That's not a standardized approach. And most people who are going to be data owners are business people, and they haven't done this before. So if you're going to have a standardized approach across the whole enterprise, so that the data owners are classifying the data the same way, you have to have a criteria. And the criteria lays out examples of what would go into the different classifications. And it would describe the business impact. You have to understand the business impact of if this data got corrupted, or if somebody got a hold of it, and if it causes a bigger impact to the business, of course it's going to be more sensitive. So this is a very simplistic example of a criteria. It shows the different regulations and what the regulations call out as sensitive information. Now, you don't really have to come up with a spreadsheet, because there's a lot of tools that lay this stuff out for you. There's automated tools that have everything under HIPAA, what's considered sensitive, everything under GLB, what's considered sensitive. But you have to have something laid out so that data owners know how to map them. So as an organization, you could choose to put in an information classification program or not. And what I find very interesting in the industry as a consultant is that companies really want to control the data leakage, where sensitive data is leaving their environment, but they don't want to set up a security information program because they don't see the connection. If you're going to control your sensitive information, you have to set up an information classification program. That's necessary to identify the data, identify the controls that have to be in place to protect it, identify roles and responsibilities.